Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, hello, hello. Gonna start inviting the good people in. We are doing our DC Circle session number 6 on live this week. So excited about that. Hello, hello, hello. We're going to be joined today by Samantha Nachman. So we'll just wait for her to come on in. Oh, that was like a little southern accent I did there. Whew. All right.
Whew. Hello.
Hello, hello. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Feeling good. We'll probably just chat it up for a bit while we wait for some friends to trickle in. But how was your day? I know we talked earlier, but let's just unpack our day. How are things?
It's good. I'm like excited now. I just shook out my entire body right right before I hopped on here. My sister is in this live, I think. She's like waving hi. She's the one that's lukewarm brownie. So shout out to siblings.
Nice. She was number one in here. Love to see it.
And my mom's right there if you want to say. Hey mom.
Hi.
Whew. Yeah, my day was great. I vended at the Virginia Beach Flea Market today for Small Business Saturday. I set up my whole store, which only really happens like once a year, if even that. So it was like the one big event that I do every year for the business, and it was awesome. I saw a lot of my old friends from like high school and beyond, and I got to learn a lot of things. Got to buy some cool pants. So I thoroughly enjoyed experience.
Nice. So is this like a holiday tradition then? Or I
Basically,
guess kind of.
yeah, like every time I come down for Thanksgiving with my family, I stay until the weekend's over, and I've recently taken on that opportunity to participate in Small Business Saturday, like here in Virginia Beach rather than in Richmond where I live right now.
Nice, nice. I feel like I don't necessarily do anything for the weekend besides just like decorate maybe, which I need to go decorate after this. But that is so awesome. And I know you had said that like, you didn't feel like it wasn't too crowded, which is like really good just for like safety, but
Yeah.
that's so awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had like my own corner, like outside of like the main part of the market, which I had no issue with because I liked like the space where people could just like hang out around my tent without being in the way of anybody else, and I was able to, I don't know, take up space and do my thing.
Lovely. So lovely.
It was so fun.
I'm glad you had a good time. We're probably going to get started and we'll just let people trickle in.
Yeah.
But just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Jazz, and my partner Sarah is not joining me for Distant Connections, but I thank you again for joining us for our virtual workshop series, DC Circle Sessions. Sarah and I are the founders of Distant Connections, which is a creative campaign designed to connect people through creative collaborations. And so creativity is a process in general, and we all grow together when we connect. And our goal for the DC Circle Sessions is to allow our creatives and a lot of our collaborators the space and that opportunity to grow and push themselves as well as push others by sharing their insights. So we're so, so excited. Today, we are joined by Samantha Nachman, who will be leading this workshop on how to successfully run an Instagram resale business. Sam is a small business owner with many talents in branding and marketing, and she's based in Richmond, and she's one of our season 1 collaborators. So be sure to check out her collab from last season. It's on our feed at distant.connections. But before we get started, I'd love to people just shout out where you're tuning in from, just so we can get an idea who's joining us on this Saturday. Now, Sam said you're tuning in from Virginia Beach, and I'm in Bowie, Maryland right now.
Yeah. In Virginia. Oh, hi, to Alice. I'm like gonna show the people that I know who are joining. Where are you guys from? New York. Oh, what's up, New York?
Love to see it. Thanks for joining, Will.
Instagram Live is so cool.
It is. I know you said this is your first time. I've not really done it that often, but we've done it a couple times for Distant Connections. But it's interesting. quite,
Another.
quite interesting.
Oh yeah, we're in the same house, my sister and I.
So cute, family. All right, so we're gonna get started with the presentation. Of course, make sure to take notes, collect these gems. It is being recorded, so you will be able to access it later. And yes, if you have any questions, be sure to put them in the chat or put them as a question, and we'll get to them soon. But we'll hop right in.
All right, let's
Take
do
it
it.
away.
Hi, everybody who's here, and to everybody who will watch in the future. Hello to you too. My name is Sam. Like was said, I am a small business owner, which I'm still having trouble, taking authority over. I'm claiming that title right now. I have a small shop called Shop with Two Eyes, and I sell vintage secondhand clothing, accessories. I also recently started a baby and toddler version of that called Little Shopstagram, also with Two Eyes. So check those things out if you're into those kinds of things. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how I run my businesses. And I know that this is like something that a lot of people go to school for, a lot of people pay money to know about, but today we're giving you something for free, a quick, concise rundown of how you would go about operating an online business, specifically a resale Instagram store, but a lot of this information can be translated into any kind of online business, whether you're selling stickers, any kind of designs that you have. If you are a freelance artist, this is also really good information for you as well. And especially anybody who has to physically ship items. That's another portion of this workshop that I'm going to be talking about as well. So we'll get into it. So I separated this workshop into 4 parts because that's just kind of how I see my process, is 4 big, huge buckets of the kinds of work that I do. So part 1 is starting. Starting is the most difficult part of any kind of creative endeavor, right? A lot of people, think about it a lot, sit on the idea, keep it in their head and heart for a long time. And sometimes it manifests and sometimes it just sits in the person latent because there's something that they feel like they don't have yet in order to do this, or they just don't know enough. They think they don't know. And so I'm here to kind of show you how to get that out of you and bring it to life into the real world or the external world. So the first part, number 1, is setting your intention. I know that if you practice yoga, if you are, spiritual in any kind of way, that is always the first thing you do, is to sit down and think about, what are you doing? Why are you doing these things that you're doing? And so I always ask the question of like, is this for me? Why do I want to do this? How will this benefit my life? And I do this kind of exercise whenever I'm helping a friend or I'm in a conversation with somebody who wants to talk about business. I do this exercise where I ask them, look at your life in 5 years. Envision a normal day of your life in 5 years. What does it look like? What do you see yourself doing? Do you see yourself running this business in 5 years on a normal day? And if you don't, then is this for you? Go back to that question. Is this for me? Because if you want to start a business, any kind of business, it's going to be your life. It's going to be your job. It's not just something that you're going to mess around with because it sounds cool or it looks cool. This is something that you're going to devote lots of time and energy and ultimately love towards. So it's got to be worth all of that sacrifice. So I would do that exercise first. Next, think about what you want your business to be. If you've asked yourself the question, is this for me? And all the boxes check, all right, here you are. You're going to do this. This is for you. This is your thing that you're on. how are you going to let this business be part of your life? Is this going to be part of your life in just a small way where I just want this so that I can make some money on the side? You know, like you could do things like Depop or Poshmark, which are like different resale resources already that exist that you can use, the platform. You don't have to create your own brand, your own business in and of itself. You can use that. And that is something that's a whole nother type of business to run. And on the other side is, do you want to grow and become a full-grown business? Where, if we've come to that realization, that's what you want to do. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So yes, you've decided this is for me. Yes, I want to grow this business. Next, we're going to talk about, do you have the time to work on this? Are you willing to make the time? Also, if you don't have the time, because personally, I am a stay-at-home mom. I dedicate my life and my time to raising my 2-year-old child. Her name is Cora. And so I always give my excuse, like I want to dedicate all of my attention and time to Cora, and then that doesn't really work out because that's not what I want to do with my life. But here I am making the time, I'm making the effort into making this part of my life. So we're going to keep moving on. So you've set your intention. This is for you. This is your life. You've decided to do this confidently. That's the key word here, confidently, that this is for you.
For sure.
Next, you're gonna flesh this idea out. You have a business, you have a dream. How can you put this dream onto a piece of paper? What does it look like? What do the colors look like? What does it feel like? Who is going to be part of this dream? So I would encourage you to journal. Just write everything out that you want to, discuss it to yourself. Dream, just create like a vision board. I've never done this myself, but I've seen people do this a lot where they create vision boards of like different kind of projects that they want to, different projects that they want to work on. So flesh it out, get it out of your head. That's the most important. You have an idea in your head, a goal that you have, but it just stays in here. It will never happen because it's not actually into the physical world, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to get that nice dress if all you're doing is thinking about it, right? You have to have the money. Money is physical. You have to talk about it to say you want the dress. And that plays out with business as well. You have to get this idea, these needs, these wants out into the physical world. That's a huge thing. Don't be afraid to do that. A lot of people are afraid to do it because they feel silly. Who cares? You don't have to share that with anybody. You can just keep it to yourself. But the fact of the matter is, it has to get out. Get it out first. So set your intention, get it out. Next step, what do you want to sell? This is a business, so you gotta sell something. You can sell your time with your creative abilities. You can things. I sell things and my time, but mostly we're talking about here in the resale business, I sell things. So I'm selling clothing. And so what kind of clothing? There's a lot of categories in of itself in that area of business. I sell secondhand and vintage clothing. So you've decided what you wanted to sell after you've dreamt and ideated it, and you've decided what you wanted to sell. Now we're going to talk about a name. This is also part of like fleshing it out. This should be about you because this is your business. You are the face, and because we're talking about Instagram's algorithm and people on Instagram love the face. They love this thing that everybody has a face, right? So
they love the person.
Yeah, they love the person behind the work because it gives a level of authenticity to the work. There's not this border of like, I can do this and you can't do this. And like, you have to look this certain way to do this certain thing. That's kind of, those walls have been broken down with social media. And I think that's so great because everybody has a face. Anybody can have a business and have it grow and be amazing. So make it about you. Make it about, your thing. And also take your time in this part because once you decide a name, this is just logistics, right? People want to trust that you're going to be there. If they can't search you because your name has changed, that's going to be really difficult. If they cannot say the name to their friend because you're not sure if it's the same name anymore, that's also going to be difficult for growth. So take your time, when you decide on a name, it will be hard to change it.
Yeah.
Tip with this is to also make it timeless. I
Hmm.
like the name Distant Connections a lot because, distant can also mean emotionally distant. Distant can be physically distant. Distant can mean, I don't know, just feeling separated from something or
Yeah,
somebody.
even skill set, like you're just you have a very wide reaching skill set. But yeah.
And then with connections, everybody, part of being a human being is wanting to feel connected, whether that's online, which is beautiful that we can do that now, whether that's in person, which is, a rare occasion now because of the state of the world. But it's timeless, right? It's a human, these are human feelings that you're kind of gathering here in this one name. Um, and the bonus here, where we're kind of fleshing it out already, is that if there's a story behind the name, if there's a story and a meaning, and you can get people to relate to it and envision the story behind the name and feel what you want them to feel, that is so powerful in getting people to grow with you, to stay with, to keep them here, and not just in their head, but also here in their hearts, because that's how you get people's attention and people's hard-earned money, which is also.
Yeah, and their trust
Hmm.
and retention, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, trust is also a huge thing too. That's like standard for me. Like anything you say and do, you should make sure that the receiving person or audience can trust what you say and do, because that's tenfold. That surpasses any superficial thing you can make or say or do. And we're still in part number one, but here so we've set our intention, we've dreamt, we've ideated, we've decided what we want to sell, what we want to do, we've created a name that's timeless and has a story, and we're going on to branding. And I'm not going to talk so much about branding because that's a whole thing, and I can't keep branding in 30 minutes. So
Yeah.
branding essentially is coming up with a logo, some colors that you like and that make sense to your name and your vision. A font, which is something that I love to play around with and can actually evoke a lot of emotion. And so logo, colors, font, and then the overarching of those three things becomes like the style, the look, if you want to use the word aesthetic, which is, it's a funny word to me for some reason. And that's essentially your brand, is the look, the essence of your idea, of your vision. And yeah, like cov of advice said right there, it's a lot. It's super important. So
Hmm.
if that's something that you want to know more about, we have the Q&A at the definitely put your questions there, or DM me, DM them. I'm sure that we could both give you guys so much valuable information on branding. It's very important. Next, we'll just keep moving right along. Is to the last part of part one is to start. So
Just do it. Get it done.
all of these things, you haven't even started the project. You've just kind of built it up to be you fleshed out your idea and now you're ready to start. So you start, and with an Instagram shop you have to create an account. These are just like logistics now. Create your account with the name that you've created. Set your logo as your photo. Make sure that it is something that people will remember. My logo for my shop is just two eyes, and I've translated those two eyes into the little shops. We're back. um, Hello. Create your account, set your photo as your logo if you have it, and then write a good bio. That is the landing space for people. When they find you, you have to be able to tell your story and give all the important information right there when people see you, so you can get that follow. And then I also like to follow accounts that you think would buy from you. This is also something that you can continue to do throughout this process of fleshing out your business, because your business is always changing. So your consumer base is always changing because you're fine tuning all of these parts to make sure that you're serving the right people for your business. So there, we've started part one. Now on to part two. Part two is the process. This is a thing that keeps cycling over and over again. The process never stops. When you start, this process will continue to change and be like I said, like fine-tuned, but then it is something that will be repeated over and over and over again in different ways. So part one of the process, of my process, is sourcing, which I just learned is the correct term for like buying, which is another term for it in retail. Essentially, with resale shops, you buy, in my case, clothing, and you find them in different places, which is you're sourcing out your merchandise from different places in the market. So I've listed out here in the outline that I have that you guys will be able to have later on after this live. I've listed out all the different places that you could source from, which is the thrift stores. That's my number one. I think I'm at the thrift store like twice a week or something like that now. At least once a week I go. Estate sales, which I have not been able to get out to one yet, but I have been looking out for some good ones in Richmond because there's old money there. Your own closet. Don't be afraid to put in, parts of yourself into it, because if this is your business, it's got to reflect yourself. And so this I was going to sell, but I decided to work for the market today because it seemed very Sam. It has pockets and it's big and flowy. Consignments. People have actually, like come to me and be like, hey, can I just give you like a big bag of clothes and you just sell them or whatever with them? And I'm like, yeah. And I used to just like take them as donations, which is another aspect to this resale business. If somebody just wants to give you clothing and you're gonna in your resale shop, take it, because you can figure out where it can go later on, but you never know what you find if someone's just willing to give to you. And so with donations, I've turned that into consignment now, because I have this formula that I follow that I can go into more detail about if anybody would like me to later on. Yard sales is another thing that you could do. But that's like more of just like when there's a yard sale coming up, there's not a pandemic going on, you're not afraid to touch strangers' things.
Yeah.
eBay is a good resource as well. People will just sell like things in wholesale, and that's another way to get a lot of merchandise all at once. And Facebook Marketplace, that's another good resource that I actually find a lot of furniture and like toys. It's a good.
You can find anything on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, people even like ship now through Facebook Marketplace. So if you're looking, like you don't even have to shop. You really don't have to shop on Amazon if you don't need to anymore. Like unless you need it by tomorrow, you can shop on Facebook Marketplace. All of these like there's a car, I don't even know. All these resale apps. There are resale apps that you can use, and you can use that also to source for your own resale shop. So moving on.
1 second. You can keep going. My phone this is really bad. It's about to die.
It's okay.
I'll be right back. But you can keep going. You can keep going.
Cool. You're good. All right, now we're off to the how. How do I source? So the way that I think about sourcing is these are valuable things, and I don't want to say you're scheming. You're thinking very smart about the way you do things, like you see a shirt, it was a lady who, had it, they had this item, loved it for a period of time, they no longer like it, they no longer love it, they're just going to donate this to Goodwill, and we'll make a profit off of it. But if you find a piece you look that other people will love, and you're going to put in the effort and time to fix it up, present it nicely on the internet, then it's worth the effort to fix up and mark up the price, because you're putting in all that effort when you're finding something that's a lot cheaper than what you're selling it for. It's like the cheaper you get it, the cheaper you can sell it for. So that's kind of my mindset, is that like I'm not going to buy something that's $3 and sell it for $50. I think that's a little bit too much. There's also a little bit of nuances in pricing that I'm going to go into later on also. But essentially, if you want to have clothing that's accessible to more people, your prices should be lower. So you should be sourcing items at a lower price, and that's how you can keep prices low for your shop. Some tips that I have for sourcing, like I said, if you can buy them for a lesser price, you can price them for a lesser price. My rule of thumb is, like I said, I like to keep things around $3 an item. Sometimes, you know, like that's not a hard $3. It's a huge range that I stay within, so that I'm able to, you know, make a profit off of it, but also ensure that my prices aren't like ridiculous up there. Like I can't buy something that's $12 and it's not worth more than 30 to sell. I'm not going to make that much money off of it, and it's the name of the numbers game essentially.
Makes sense.
Another tip. I'm gonna pause for a second because my throat is sore.
You're good. Get some water too. But that's true. Like you want to make sure that the merchandise or whatever things that you are sourcing is going to be worth your time in the end, because there is so much that goes into it. Like you said, making sure that you can even set it up nicely so that it is like attractive. People want to buy this. And if it's just gonna waste your time, you have to. And of course, you'll probably learn, you know, as time goes on, about what that looks like for you and like what is worth it, what's not. But that's so important.
Yeah, and I've definitely learned that throughout. I've been doing this resale thing on and off for about 3 years now, and I found that if I can if I can, you know, make a profit off of this, it's worth my time. Because if I'm doing this and I'm not making any money off of it, I'm not growing. I'm not growing as a business owner. My business isn't growing, and I'm kind of letting people take advantage of me. If you look, because I am still putting in so much energy and effort, but I'm not receiving, you know, anything on my end for it, because I'm the way that I perceive my shop is less than the effort that I'm giving. So, you know, make sure that you're charging your worth. And, you know, like our inherent worth, I'm not talking about like your worth as a human being. We are worthy and valuable as human beings just being here. But what I mean is the work that you're putting in. Make sure you're charging the amount of work that you're putting in to individual item. And I feel like I'm taking too long in these tips, so I'm just going to read through them real quick. So make sure that the items are in good enough to sell condition. Make sure that they don't look dirty. If they're dirty, make sure you can clean them. I take things to the dry cleaners all the time. I do so much laundry in my household in my little tiny washer and dryer, because I have 3 people I do laundry for, and the shop, and now the little shop, so there's always laundry going on in my house. I thrift at least once a week to keep a consistent inflow of inventory. So if you want to keep going, you want to keep flowing, you got to keep you got to keep looking. Make it part of your routine every week. And then lastly is to find a style. Nowadays on like resale shops, everybody has a look. Everyone has an aesthetic. And so when you can find what fits you, what you like, and what people, if you can find what you like and the look that you like, you will find the people who also like your look, because you attract what you are, right? And if you can hone your style and not try to people please in the work that you're doing, you can really fine tune it and create something that is differentiated from other resellers, that is memorable, because there's a certain look. People remember something that, you know, like it's kind of triggering when they find something and it's like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's my thing. I love that. And then they keep coming back because they can trust that you're going to come back with that same look, that same style. All right, we're still at part number 2. We're already at 6:30, so we're gonna push along. The next
would be good
in this process is the photo shoot. This is something I've never had experience doing. To do the most growth on my own with this, just trial and error. Set the scene. So make sure you have a good background. Like this right here, I didn't have any of these photos. This would be a good background because there's a window right here. There's there's a window over here. You can't see it on this side. And the light will come in on the side. And if you can pick the time of day where the lighting is good and awesome, schedule your shoot for that time, take all your photos all at once, get it all done, and find your angles, and you have all your photos for the week, and you can drop it all at once. That's basically how I do the photo shoot. Is I pick a time where I know the light's good, so pay attention to the lighting, because one, you can use that time to sit and soak up the vitamin D, or you can use that time also to take good selfies, or you can use that time to shoot the clothes that you need to for your crop. A plain background is good. If you have like a backdrop you can use, I just use a linen sheet sometimes, and that works just as good. Modeling, another aspect of the photo shoot. I have no experience modeling. I don't, other than like my siblings taking photos of me and they're telling me where to put my body. I've just practiced with my front-facing camera and just looking at my body in pictures over and over and over again. It's like too much sometimes, but once you get the hang of it, you know, there's YouTube tutorials that you can watch too, like real models can help you with, and that's how I've been able to learn that aspect of the photo shoot.
Academy.
Yeah, you don't need to go to school, just go on YouTube. If you're not going to model your own clothing, you gotta find a model, because clothing, if you're going to resell clothing, that is going to be essential. People like to see clothes on bodies. It's hard to sell an item if it's not on a body. For some reason, that's what people like. People like to see like the curvature. It's something with our brains and our psychology that we love. Equipment. I use my iPhone 11 and a tripod. I don't have anything fancy. I wish I had something fancy, but in order to start, you don't need the fanciest equipment. You don't need anything expensive. We don't all, but most of us have an iPhone or some kind of fancy camera phone. You can start there. And as soon as, because once you start, you can grow from there.
Mm-hmm.
Camera, tripod, and some tips for the photo shoot. Take lots of photos, keep it going, just keep clicking, use a self timer. Natural movement is awesome. If you can get like a walking pose, if you can just, you know, just natural movement is key. Practice to find your best angles. Clear photos also sell better. I know a lot of people have been dipping their toes into like artistic photo shoots with clothing, where they have like a concept, or they have, you know, they mess with a lot of different elements to it. But essentially, if you can get a clear, nice looking photo, it'll sell the item a lot better than if it were, you know, on an iPhone 3 versus, you know, like something more clear than that. And then the rule of thirds, which you can just Google the rule of thirds. There's lots of information on that. Scheduling the photo shoot. Like I said, with the lighting, that's essential. Look at the light, find your light, and make sure that you're scheduling your shoot around that, because without light, you're not going to have a good photo. So that's essential. And how many times per week will you post item for sale? This is also along the lines of scheduling. So I personally, for example, I will shoot on Monday. I will sit on the items, not actually. I will sit on the photos, edit the photos, and then on Thursday I will be able to drop them because I've priced them and I've gone through all of the photos. I've picked the ones that I needed, and then you pick, you know, how many times a week can I do that? Do I have enough time and energy twice a week or just once? Communicate with your followers to best serve them. This goes with scheduling. Like, when can you be here to see the things that I have, participate in this thing that I'm doing, be consistent. That is huge in any kind of business. Consistency will take you further than, you know, nice photos will only get you so far. Keep the momentum, just keep going. It keeps the followers engaged, and it keeps you accountable for yourself, because if you show up week after week after week, you're going to expect it from yourself. You're gonna get into a flow, essentially, with this business.
Yeah.
I'm going to just skip over a few things because we're running low on time. Pricing. There's a formula for this, and it's in the outline. So if I want you guys to go into the I'm not gonna go straight into that.
Yeah, just so I think I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the beginning. I don't think I did, but we will have a PDF version of this presentation for download available at 8 p.m. today. So
Perfect.
good things.
So once you've priced your items, then you will post them. And in this post, make sure you have the description, the size, details, price, and how to purchase. That's
Mm.
essential for the business. You cannot just say, here's this thing, and you don't know, like the people don't know what to do with it. You got to make sure they
Yeah,
know.
no direction.
Yeah, direct them to do the thing you want them to do. Part 3 is the follow through. Payment. As soon as you make a sale, you have to interact with the person, not just the customer, not just the client. This is a real person who has feelings and expectations. And so be nice, be kind, keep it simple and straightforward. Again, like I said, make sure they know what to do next, not just rambling in a conversation, because this is a sale. This is not you meeting somebody. Your first impression should be professional and your first impression should be clear and clean. Payment, there's so many ways of receiving payment. I'm sure a lot of people watching this know how to receive payment by now. Customer service, like I said, all of those awesome things. Next, when we're following through, we have to worry. We don't have to worry. We have to be mindful of, keeping this project in people's faces, which is marketing. It's showing people that I've created this thing. I've put in all this effort and energy. I want people to see. I want people to enjoy this. So that's marketing. Share everything to your stories. People love to see the process because transparency breeds trust. And this is a real life. This is not a huge company making all these big corporate decisions. This is one person or maybe two people working together, and that is inspiring to other people. So people love to see that. Your stories are a good place to get your followers engaged. Surveys, question boxes, this or that's, all of those things. It's a whole nother beast to talk about.
Yeah, but it's good to collect that info.
For sure. Just to understand what people want from you and to know who you're talking to best
Know your audience.
Mm-hmm. Events like today, I did an in-person shopping event. If you're reselling, if you're any kind of maker at all, there is a market for you, a physical market for you to participate in. So look locally, the events. I found mine on Instagram. You can find them on Facebook, and just get involved in your community. That is an awesome way to grow as well. Cross promote across all social media channels, anything that you do. Shipping. With mailers, you can use what you have, or you can buy mailers. That's as simple as that. Cost of shipping. So there's two ways also of doing this. The buyer pays, so they pay, $5 for shipping, or the seller pays for shipping. So you can offer people free shipping, which is the most attractive way of doing resale business at the moment. Finances. In this outline that you guys have access to later on after this, I've actually included a screenshot of my finances for September and October, all of the sales that I've had. I show you guys the cost of the item, the lowest selling price it should go for, the actual selling price, and the profits. So please download that if you're interested in looking at that, because it took me a long time to figure out how to track my expenses, even though I took accounting like 3 times. I'm not the best at this, but I can definitely share what I've done and what's been
so helpful.
And this is free, so take advantage for sure. And I'm just gonna go to the last part for basic at a time. Part 4, after you've started, after you've gone through the process, and after you follow through, there is room, and there should be a step of growth if you want to grow your business. This is not just growth of your business financially with profit or whatever. This is also growth within the business owner themselves. I know personally, I have had to do a lot of self-development and understanding of what it means to be myself and live in my purpose and do the things that I've been called to do. And the way that I've been able to do that is by keeping an open mind throughout this process. Like I said, you're going to continue this process. Oh, step 2, you're going to repeat that process over and over again. And each time, if you want to grow, you have to keep an open mind, be receptive to criticism, ask questions as you go from other experts, not even in your field, but even any expert in any field. You can learn something from them and adapt your own craft. Learn from your mistakes, because you will make mistakes. I make plenty of mistakes all the time. And from each new event or experience, you can, each event is different. Each time you try something new, it's going to have a different outcome. And you can learn a lot from that if you take notes. Don't be afraid to try something new. Like I said, you will get out what you put in there. You can't just expect, I've done this, 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 and this. That's what Sam told me to do. How come this is not working? Well, like, you're not me. It's not going to work for you because you're not me. We can't do the same things and get the same results because we're not the same person. So with that comes this aspect of finding out who you are as this business, because it's not like you can compartmentalize who you are, right? Like, when you're trying to grow and be in this growth mindset, you can't just say, I want to grow my business, but I'm still going to be emotionally mature. Like, the two work hand in hand together. So once you grow and develop as a human being, your business will grow, because you have a wider perspective of what other people want from you, what you can do, what you can see and believe you can do. And then once you understand yourself, that breeds the most growth, because
knowledge is power.
Yeah. And you'll be different from everybody, because everybody is unique. If you're trying to copy me, you're not going to be successful. If you're trying to copy like Beyonce, I always say this, no one can be Beyonce. I'm sorry. There's one Beyonce. There's one you. Be the best you can, and that will translate into your business, because it will be different and unique and authentic to yourself.
It's so good. And like you said, just trying to find, like, it's not necessary to try to copy things word for word, but try to find ways to, like, adapt things that will best serve you, because you may not have the same audience. You may not have the same kind of like product. So you really have to find ways to, like you said, a lot of things can be transferable. A lot of, like, information can be, like, used for different things, but it's not like word for word, I need to do this, just because, like, line, like, let's adapt, let's put these things into our own words, let's really know ourselves and understand what we can take from this information that will help us, and understand that, like, not every single thing we might need to take, so, and that's okay.
Yeah, like, all this stuff, I'm giving you all that I have, but it's not necessarily all that you need. Take what you need from this, learn who you are, and run with what you need to grow, to do this thing that you need to do. I don't know if you've been following along on my outline, but that's essentially all.
Yes, so good, so good. I love that. Thank you again for all of this great information. And we will be sure to share the PDF with everyone and make that available. And if you want to also share that on your own page, like on your bio, that's perfectly fine. Like, just have all the information available to everyone. But we're going to open it up for some questions. If anyone has any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat, or just add them. I know that I actually have a couple of questions that I'll probably add, or that I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
We had talked a little bit earlier about seeking advisors. I know that you are a creative as well as a small business owner and a multi-hyphenate. You have many, many skills, many talents. But I wonder, for some of those things that you're like, oh, this is not my strongest suit, how do you seek talent, or how do you seek help for some of those things? Like, maybe I'm not the best designer. How can I find support for my small business?
So I've actually once you said that, I instantly thought of my friend Francine, who actually I was matched with her
by season 1.
In our first in season 1 collaboration. It was so we are still friends today. She texted me earlier and I haven't replied to her text message, but with with putting yourself out there and being receptive to learning, to asking questions, people find you. And I think you have to pay attention to that. You have to look at the people who come into your life. And I don't think of it as using people, because we need each other. And so I met Francine and I had no idea what she was about, right? But she presented herself to me as, I am a graphic designer. I can do this, this, and this. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I have been trying to figure out how to do like my own branding for such a long time. I have this marketing background, but when it comes to like design and like an art, I don't know what mine is. And when I was matched with Francine, it felt almost perfect that she had this visual artistic side to her that I needed. And so I know this is kind of like abstract, where you just have to be like, you just have to pay attention to who comes into your life. But when, on the other hand, if you're not being matched and you're not seeing the people that you need into your life and you need to go out there, going back to the original question, what I do is I go on YouTube. I search how to create a logo, how to get my followers more engaged, how do I use this program. There are so many people on YouTube now just sharing this information for free. It's a search engine for anything that you need, really. And if you're not, learning so much on that space, I would I would ask the people around you, just the people that you know and love, because once you are receptive to what you need, people will give you what you ask for. You just have to ask for it. Like I don't know how to make a logo. Do you know somebody who knows how to make a logo? And you just keep asking until you find the person you need to talk to, and it will happen if you keep putting it out there. It'll come back.
Yeah. That's so good. And I think so often people don't necessarily take that as an opportunity. Like literally use your voice, ask, see who's already in your circle, see what's already in your environment, and try to make the most of that. That's so good. And I think we definitely need to try, I think just as a people, to build better connections that way and to really like have more conversations, because there's a lot of opportunities that are available that you may not even realize that you have access to.
Yeah, and there's so many people. We are accessible by so many more people now because of social media. Why not, take that and use it to your advantage?
Awesome. So another question, what prompted you? What was your why for why you wanted to start your resale shop?
Ooh, I think I just like to play with clothes when it comes down to it. I think I'm trying. I always think back to childhood, because anything you do as an adult, there was something that happened in your childhood for you to do it. When I was a kid, I used to take clothes that I didn't like, that like my mom got me or something, and I didn't like the way it looked, and I would fix them or add something to it to make it unique to myself. I remember this denim skirt that I got, and it was kind of plain to me. It was just a plain denim skirt. I took an old flannel and I ripped up some fabric and I hand sewed onto the skirt, like the flannel fabric. And I wore that like every week at school after I did that. And then I love playing with clothes. I love feeling, I love feeling things. I'm a
Yeah.
child person. So I think the why of it is that I get to play. It brings out, the child in me, my inner child,
Yeah.
and that's very nourishing for me as a mother, because I have to interact with a child. I can't lose that, or I get wrapped into like this need for control and adult life and responsibility. I have to find ways to play that are not just with my child. I have to play with my own inner child to feel full.
Gems. I love it. I love it. All right, so we got two more questions. One, what are some resources that you, and don't feel like we have to rush, but what are some resources that really help you to continue to build and grow your business? I know you shared a couple of things of like where you like to source for product, which is probably just like helpful, just finding new like styles and different things like that. And you had also mentioned a couple of things like Canva that might help with building logos and things. But what are some other resources that we can share with the audience about continuing to grow and continuing to excel?
So honestly, Canva, I've been using that as a crutch for design. I don't want to say like crutch because like anybody can get on Canva and use it to design some kind of, and that's like my number one because it's a software that continues to update to what people want it to do. There's also a pro version that I personally invested in using. I've used Canva to create any kind of like graphics that you see. I've used Canva to create, and it's so easy to use. It's free, and it's a good resource for somebody just learning how to just wanting to get into graphic design if you have no experience whatsoever. It's very user friendly. I also, like I said, YouTube is a great learning resource. I'm trying to think, what else do I use? I personally like to keep it simple. I don't like to go too much into different spaces or softwares because there's a learning curve when it comes to using a new one.
Yeah, and you have to like really, like we said, figure out what is worth your time
Yeah.
to learn how to do. And when you're doing something like this, I can imagine like this is primarily by yourself. I'll probably ask you more too about like what growth looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But I can imagine doing all of this for yourself. You have to like learn how to manage your time
Mm-hmm.
and learning a lot of new things that might be really difficult, might have like a really large learning curve, might not necessarily be the best use of your time.
Yeah, I honestly avoid, God, sorry, my phone's like dying.
It's
Going.
okay. That's yeah.
Um, yeah, so with scheduling my time, I have a physical notebook. Like I have this notebook, which is just a lined normal notebook that I use to journal. I use it for everything. This is a good resource. It's not something that you can find on the internet. It's just a notebook because your brain is its own resource. If you can get the things out and put it down on paper, you are building your own reference book for all of the ideas that you have and all of the thoughts that you have and feelings that you have.
That's really fast.
Yeah, because the brain is crazy. The brain is its own universe, and you have to get it out on paper for you to like I said, like flesh out your ideas, look at the things that you're thinking, because you can put it out on paper. And I go back onto like notebooks that I have from 2015, 2016, and I'll just flip through them sometimes and look at what I was talking about and who I was at that time, and it is inspiring the things that I'm doing now. I mean, like your own brain. Use your own brain as a resource. Journal, write. I practice morning pages. I try at least where I
Is that
just
like journaling in the morning?
yeah, it's like writing a stream of consciousness of like no rhyme or reason to the writing. You just writing your stream of consciousness and you don't stop until you hit 3 pages. I'm not perfect with that, but that's what I try to do, and that's how I journal. And a lot of things come when you practice it every day. I cry sometimes doing that, so it's very beneficial to your mental health, and it's really beneficial if you're on a creative endeavor, because if you say to yourself sometimes like I'll remember later. No, you're not going to remember later. You have to write it down and build upon that and create something new with your own brain as a resource.
Love it. Cool. So last question, just so we're good on time. What does the future growth look like or what does just the future look like for Samstagram?
I hope it's bright. I hope it's full of new people, new places. I like that this thing that I'm doing can take me anywhere. The amazing thing about the internet is that you can go anywhere in the world, continue to do it. And that's what I want. I want the future of Samstagram. I'm sorry. So embarrassing.
It's not. It's great.
The future of Shopstagram. to be full of travel and new places and new people and awesome branding. And I, I, I honestly want to change the name, but like I said, I don't advise that. So we'll see where this thought leads us.
Well, it could be like kind of like a branching off into a new line. So it could
Amazing.
still be like the Shopstagram, but maybe we're doing something else, or we're doing, I don't know. Does it make, I don't know. That's completely up to you and your thoughts and what you
No,
see
I mean,
makes sense
I'm
for you.
telling people because I want to know what people think about me changing the name. So I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what the future holds for the name, but it will still be there in some kind of aspect, and I hope it takes me places that I've never been before.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much again for joining us
Yeah.
today. Again, this presentation and outline will be made available on our bio in about an hour. Again, we just want to thank everyone for attending, and you will get to see this a little bit later as well, just the recording. Ooh,
You
be
got
sure to follow Sam. Be sure to follow Sam and stay in touch. And yes, so thankful for everything. Our next DC workshop is going to be on Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday, which I believe is the 2nd of December. And again, this is something that is going to be alternating. I think we have maybe 2 more left to go, but we've been really pushing through this season, so we're excited about things. And you can find all of our information on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, as well as on YouTube. And we really hope to see you again. Thank you.
thank
Shout out in the chat. Thank you so much for Sam.
you for the
We
people.
appreciate you.
You guys can watch this later on. Go follow Distant Connections. They're awesome. They're doing amazing things. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, and last but not least,
Yeah.
because you are a season 1 collaborator, her collab is available on the feed. So be sure to check it out because it's amazing. It's so cute, so amazing, the best thing in the whole world. Love it.
You guys are so sweet.
All right. Happy
Thank you.
Saturday. I hope you
Happy
enjoy the rest of your weekend.
See ya.